Okay. So the idea I had was let's play a game. Let's play this or that. I almost smacked my freaking mic arm. This or that. So I'm gonna go in order, unless you guys have any preference of
Let's do it.
which topic you want to go for. So okay,
Order's
great.
good.
What order is
Order
good?
is good.
Oh, okay. All right. Lens hoods versus UV filters or nothing. What is your preference for putting stuff in front of your lens? Anybody want to take that first?
Yanni.
All right, so for me, it's not a versus thing. I always use a hood, even though I hate using hoods because it makes the lens bigger and I like my lenses to be tiny. But for a UV filter, I'll only use a filter if I have a hood because I cannot keep my fingers out of my lens. So without the hood on there, the second I put that UV filter on, I went from having like a little thing about this big where I could put my finger to having this big disc that I could touch, and I will touch it 100 times. So if I have a hood, and it has to be a certain hood, it has to be like the hood on the Q that kind of like closes down so you can't reach in there by accident. If it's just like a big round hood, it's not gonna work either.
Yeah.
Then I'll use both. Otherwise, just a hood because you don't want to bang things up.
Yeah.
My answer is both. Both because I shoot weddings and people get real drunk at weddings, and I don't like yes, my SL2 lenses are weather sealed or whatever, but like if some drunk girl decides to throw her freaking champagne somewhere and like go, you know what I'm saying? I just like the more protection, the better. That's the way I look at it. Or like sometimes I'm in a really crowded space, like during the party or like reception, and someone will throw an elbow back or something. It'll hit my lens hood instead of like the glass and like put a big thing on like a big skin mark on the glass that I'll have to like go and wipe down. You know, it's just, again, just keeping the lens as protected as possible from other people more so than myself. Also, I saw a lens get dropped. My second shooter's lens got dropped at the last wedding that we shot, and the lens hood literally saved the lens. It fell like on the lens hood and nothing happened to the lens. And it's a 50 millimeter it's the new 1.2, the RF lens. That's like super expensive.
Wow.
Yeah. So word to the wise, leave your lens hoods on, because I've seen it with I saw the shit drop and just hit the lens hood, and I was like, I wanted to die, dude. I wanted to die. The sound of it was just traumatizing.
All my hoods have scopes on them. I bang them into everything. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. My lens hood, actually the very first mark that I got after I got the SL2 and the 50 SL, the very first mark I got on the actual camera itself for the lens was on the lens hood. Here, actually, I have it right next to me. Let me see if you could see it. It's like, I don't know. It'd be hard to see, but it's a big scratch. You see it right there?
No. Yeah, I kind of see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
Hard to see, but yeah.
Yeah, it's minor. Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same for me. I actually have a UV filter on this one and the hood. Originally, I was only big on lens hoods for the protection purposes, right? You know, I'd rather actually have the lens hood than a UV filter, just because, you know, additional glass and flares and everything like that. And it was just something I didn't want to have to deal with. But recently, actually, this lens, when I bought it, the guy I got it from actually had the UV filter on it, and it hasn't caused any problems that I've seen with any flaring or anything. So, you know,
if you use a good filter, you won't have any issues like that, any like light bending or whatever. Like, I understand that if you want to be a super purist and you're like only the glass, like I get that, but I'm putting only Leica glass on my Leica glass. So the only lens that I have that does not have a Leica UV filter on it is my SL2 50. The Q has Leica glass on it. My M lens, all my M lenses have Leica glass, like UV filters on the Leica glass. So I'm not too worried about that.
all my filters are BW, so they're really good filters. But I
Yeah.
still get flaring just because I am a savage and I touch them, and all of a sudden I have this little speck of dust, and there's
Yeah.
I hate filters.
Yeah, but generally, I'm usually at least a lens hood. I hate ugly lens hoods, though. It's just, I hate looking at a camera that has a really ugly looking lens hood. So
I wish the one on
No.
my 50 was not as big as it is.
Well,
my
that's
50
actually-
SL, not my 50 Summilux. My
It-
50
it's funny you
Summilux has
mention that.
the built-in hood that's freaking amazing. I love it.
yeah,
I wish
The-
every lens had that.
I
think Mark likes this one.
yes, I like squarish hoods.
I
Yeah,
squared
me
off
too.
hoods.
This hood because all right,
In my
This
opinion,
lens with the
that's
hood.
probably one of the prettiest, if not the prettiest, Leica lens. Is that? It's
Yep, I
the
agree.
2.5, right?
yeah, 2.4.
Yeah.
But like
2.4,
now look
yeah.
at it. Why does this hood make this lens twice as big? I
Oh.
hate that.
Look at this.
Yeah, but it
This
looks
is-
so pretty, dude.
Look how
It
much.
looks
Look how
nice.
much hood this is. It's as big as the damn
I
lens.
know.
So
But that
yeah,
still looks better
My
to me. And I feel
35
like
has like
the,
a little square hood on it too.
I prefer that
I like
one
that.
actually.
like
yeah.
the ratio of
It just falls off like
hood
crazy.
to lens width is too much on this. I don't know. It drives me
Yeah.
insane.
This is my okay. There's an M to L adapter on this. This is my 90, right? Look,
Mhm.
when I put the hood on, which is screwed on, which I absolutely hate about this lens, but let's just pretend like that's not the case. Look how much bigger this lens gets. This is the size of it now. Watch. Okay, cool. You're making me look bad. Maybe I have to take the lens hood off. Yeah. Lens cap, sorry. Yes. From
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, but it's a super long lens, so it doesn't really. know.
I mean, but dude, it's long enough. Like to make it even longer is really annoying, especially on an M camera. Like,
Yeah.
it's top heavy. You know,
Well, that's your bad for shooting a 90 on an M.
I have a magnifier on it.
All right.
You think I'm eyeballing a freaking
Hold on,
rangefinder patch that's like tiny like this?
No,
big?
haven't you this or that though? We're modifying the list. We're gonna add stuff as we go. So
Goddamn.
you prefer this method of Christian, this method of hood
Yes.
to
So screwing on?
yeah.
Yes.
So
Well,
I-
okay, hold
Oh,
on.
God, no.
Not screwing on how my SL lens hood screws on. Look, this one's just like a twist and comes off, back on, twist. That's
Right.
probably my favorite kind.
Mhm.
But like, dude, look at how much. Look, this takes forever.
Yeah. But
There.
so this lens, this Elmari is the first spherical one, which has the clip-on hood.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I really want the second one just because it has a screw-on hood. I've almost lost that hood and lens cap, which
Several
because it's
times.
like a stupid piece of plastic, it costs like $300.
Yeah, I know.
I've almost
That's
lost it like 10 times where it just like hits something and falls off the lens. Or I
Yeah.
throw the camera in my bag because I don't like in my briefcase for work, I just throw the camera like in one of the pockets
Mhm.
and the hood falls off and now the lens is exposed because it just unclips. I wish
They-
it screwed on.
I got reprimanded at the Leica store one time for not having my camera bodies facing towards my body because they're like the glass is exposed or whatever. And then
What?
I was
Like,
like,
well,
that's when I really realized I was like, damn, dude,
Wait.
shooting weddings is like, or even at family sessions, bro. Little kids are savages, dude. They just
Wait, hold
throw
on, no.
toys.
Hold on,
Yeah,
no. We're going back to it. Are you supposed to wear your camera with like the lens bouncing into your body?
Yeah, apparently.
What?
Yeah.
What?
How does that
And are
even
you
work?
I got
like-
told this by several
on.
people
Hold
at
on,
the
hold on,
Leica
hold on.
store at the same time. I
I'm
felt
not going
attacked,
there again.
but I
So-
also felt like
kidding.
I'm clearly doing this
All right,
wrong.
So now, so like your camera's sitting like this. So
Yep.
do you shoot it like this now,
No, dude.
or do you like go like this and like choke yourself?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
You would have
Like,
to.
hold on. Oh man, if you're into this, like people are into this, I guess. Like I don't know, but
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
No.
that,
I was told this by several people. You should be like exposing the back of your camera instead of your glass because you can fix an LCD, but fixing glass on the lens is a lot pricier.
yeah, you know what? For some reason, I feel like buying a brand new 28mm lens probably costs less than replacing the LCD on a Leica M.
yeah.
I doubt it. I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
I don't know. Like my lens
I don't
cost
know
me-
if you're wrong or not, but
My lens was
I
like
think you're wrong.
$1,500. Like I don't think anything to fix on a Leica costs $1,500.
Dude, a 28 Sumo Lux is like 7 or 6.
I don't.
It wouldn't
I have
cost
a-
that
I
much
have
to
a-
fix an
I have a-
LCD on an M.
I don't have a Summilux. I have a 2.8.
Okay,
either
yeah, but
way.
how much is a brand new 2.8?
Like $2,200.
I don't think it would cost that much to fix an LCD on an M.
I don't know.
I
Man.
think
It's
it'll
like
probably
Gorilla
cost
Glass.
like $1,000.
I've never heard
isn't
anything
the
like
P
that.
like
It's
sapphire or something like
preposterous.
that?
Probably
glass?
made from
Yeah,
something
something like that.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have
But-
like the screen protector on it.
Yeah, I don't know. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, besides the mechanics of just not being able to use the camera properly, I mean,
Just
that's
every step you take, you're getting
Yeah.
stabbed by your lens. Like
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I can understand and I'm reaching here to give them benefit of the doubt. Like if you're wearing it crossbody or something, like you can kind of like turn the camera just face in, which I do sometimes
Yeah.
because like not seeing the camera
Mhm.
like on your back. Sometimes you swing around like the lens just like knocks stuff over. That's happened to me, and even then, it's like, yeah,
But just-
I still don't think you'd be able to point it towards you because the lens would be still
I
poking
think
you
at
in the
weddings,
screen.
You
At
put the
weddings,
lens
I'm-
cap on.
Or that, yeah.
yeah, but that's annoying
Yeah.
too. Because then when you want to come up and shoot, they're like, "Oh wait," like, especially on an M, you don't even know that you're doing it.
You know how you fix that problem? You buy a Ricoh, where the lens just goes and pops out, and you're ready to go.
Well, my Mini Lux does that.
Yeah.
Is that film? Are you shooting film now?
Yeah, I'm a big film shooter. Big film shooter.
Yes.
Okay, last thing I'm going to say about this is I think that it's really important to be situationally aware of if you are carrying your camera around and where and who is around more than anything. It's not because you know how much you paid for that camera and that lens, and like you care about it, but everyone else doesn't give a shit or doesn't know or whatever. So like, I've had like little kids throw toys and it comes straight at like my lens, so I have to like or at weddings, again, just people with drinks and whatever. Now it's a lot easier because by the time everyone's drunk, all I have on me is my cue. It's a lot easier to like bring in and like cover and protect than like when I was shooting my Canon Mark IV 5D Mark IV with like the 24-70 like this big. Dude, it was really difficult to like conceal that in a way where it wasn't going to get hit if someone like got too close or threw a drink or whatever. And
Yeah,
that
but somebody
that
hit
camera
you.
wasn't even weather sealed.
But if somebody hits you, you don't really care because it's like a Canon.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Um.
Let's
Okay.
move on
What's
to
the next?
one.
What's the next thing?
And I got props for this one. It's neck strap versus wrist strap.
So
Mark,
it
you
depends.
go first.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
go first. Wrist straps all day. Sorry, wrist straps. Neck straps all day. That's what I use, and that's what's been practical. Mainly because the majority of times I've been going out to shoot, and even when I travel and everything, like photography is not the only thing I'm doing. In other words, I'm not going out there and like the only time I'm spending, these hours is just getting pictures. So like I might be going out, getting a drink, looking at stuff. And I really like to have my hands free, and taking a camera in and out of the bag is a lot more cumbersome and annoying than just having it on a strap across my body. And even if I do take a bag or something like that. So that's what I've gravitated to. What I prefer to use, like if I didn't have any of those concerns, or if the camera was a little bit easier to get in a bag, or maybe I had a bigger bag or something, is definitely a wrist strap. That's actually what I used to use a lot more. Even when I had my Sony A7, it wasn't massive because I was shooting like a 28 and a 50 prime.
Mhm.
I actually had on a wrist strap, and I, went and traveled with it, and it was easier to kind of throw in the bag that I had. But again, getting it off your wrist and then tucking it away, and it's just easier for me to just, swing it around my body and like put it towards my back or something like that, and get it out of the way and then have my hands free. So I like both, but practicality is going to be, neck strap, shoulder, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
I
for
go
sure, dude.
for the wrist strap. Like the neck strap, sure, like what you're saying, like it's your camera's always there, ready to go, like hang around your neck. But it's always uncomfortable for me. Like I'll try to sit down at a restaurant, like not even a restaurant, I'll be like I'm at a bar with my camera. The second I go to like lean over to like try to order a drink or something, the camera's gonna swing forward and bang into the bar. Like it's a loose thing on me that's not a. It has too much motion.
Yeah.
And it's always at the wrong place at the wrong time. And oh man, so this weekend, I think I have a possible lawsuit against Leica. I've been trying to use the Q with like the original Q leather strap. It's a pretty nice strap it's like the nicest OEM strap I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Especially for Leica that gives you like nylon straps. So I'm like trying to use this thing and I'm like playing with my son. He's got a little bounce house. And every time he would like come out of I would be like taking pictures and then he wants to like come out of the bounce and be carried. I have a stupid camera hanging in front of me so I can't carry him. So I have to put it like cross body and put it to the side. Every single time I would reach into that strap and when I would go to like swim back around, my elbow would hit one of those sharp, beautiful Germanly engineered Leica edges to the point that I drew blood on 3 separate occasions on my elbow. I'm like, all right, that's it. The strap is getting taken off. I put a Peak Design super long strap on it and it's good. And whenever I'm not carrying a child, I could just unclip it and put my wrist strap on.
Yeah.
But I see your wrist strap and I raise you a finger strap.
Yeah, I've seen those.
The ultimate in convenience and small form factor.
Yeah, you're just obsessed with small objects.
That's what she said. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, I still, to be honest with you, like I prefer the wrist strap because of a lot of things you mentioned. But what I found has happened, and again, this comes down to the camera too. I guess I should throw that in. The weight and like density of the camera. So like shooting the M10, it's the right size, but it's too dense, like and heavy on my wrist. Not because it hurts my wrist. It feels unwieldy, like having it there, and I have to hold the camera always. Mm-hmm. So the camera has to be in my. Yes, I do. I lift nothing anyway. So like I have to hold the camera because like just having it dangling on my wrist, it doesn't matter. Like the weight it's unwieldy. So it has a lot of heft to it. So it'll actually swing around a lot more. When I have the X100, that was primarily on the wrist strap because for fuck's sake, I could toss that in my pocket if I needed. So it was just very easy and light to carry around. But for now, what I've been using primarily, which again, it's probably the best compromise is this sailor strap, rope strap thingy. It's like 43, 42 inches, something like that. 44 maybe. So it's not too long, especially I'm short. So it's not too long where it's hanging too low. Mm-hmm. But it's long enough to go crossbody easily. And because it's like this silk or whatever rope it's made out of, it's easy to kind of rotate across your body, right? So it doesn't bind up on you or get stuck on clothing. It just kind of like, moves around. Mm-hmm. And then because it's so pliable, if you want, you can kind of wrap it around your wrist. And then you see a lot of people doing this, right? Use it as a wrist strap or like get it out of the way and hold the camera like at your wrist, mm-hmm. and it's out of the way. And then again, you have one strap without having to really have to worry about whether it's a wrist or not. The mm-hmm. Peak Design, I used to like those, but it's just, I don't know. I just don't like the aesthetics of it. It's like completely too utilitarian for me.
Yeah. So, yeah. It looks cheap.
But it's so functional. I love it.
Yeah. I know.
So I have a question. You said that the M10 on a wrist strap is unwieldy. Do you dangle your camera from your wrist strap?
Sometimes I'll kind of do like this. Like it's hard to show, but like not just loosely like having my wrist and just have it like this, but I'll hold it like this.
Y'all are brave.
So
like the wrist strap is a leash in case I drop my camera from my hand. Like if it's on a wrist strap, I'm just holding it in my hand at all times, unless I need both hands for something for a second. Mm-hmm. But the default is my camera's being held and the wrist strap is there in case I drop it.
Yeah, well, so that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I have the Peak Design wrist strap because there's not really an aesthetic to it because it's so small. And this is what I use for another little lesson I learned for weddings. When I shoot with my Q, I only wear my wrist strap because it's number one. Not only is it less cumbersome, but it's also I have a lot more reach. So like during a party, if there's a group of people dancing, I could literally just reach over them and shoot. Whereas like if I have a neck strap, I have to like take it off my neck and then hold the strap and like kind of it looks like I'm slingshotting something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like and then there's a lot more leeway that if I drop my camera, it's gonna swing down and hit the floor, hit something, maybe me in the balls, instead of just like swinging down and like falling to my wrist. So I do use I use a hold fast for my daytime stuff where I have my SL2 with the 50 and the vertical grip on my right side and my Q2 on my left side. And sometimes during ceremony, I wear my M10 with a 90 on my chest. So sometimes I have 3 cameras on me, and that unfortunately is the most comfortable way to wear 3 cameras. I've tried every which way. I've tried all peak design. I've tried different combinations of different neck straps and wrist straps, and it just doesn't work, man. The only hold fast really just nailed that in terms of like a market for a strap that can hold multiple cameras in a comfortable way. There's nothing better than hold fast or like a hold fast style like strap, you know. When I shoot daily though, that's a nice wrist strap, but I don't like that you can't really tighten it like this, or this one you can tighten.
You can.
You know
it
what
has
I mean?
a ring,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has like a little ring, whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't like it tied on my wrist like that. So what I was saying just is, so I'll hold the camera like this, but then if I'm walking around, I may do this. Just so it's like, you know, I'm holding it, but it's not like I don't ever do this because this is what I'm saying. It's unwieldy anyway.
That's a 35 on there.
Yeah. Yeah. The one I got like
recently.
flat, whatever. Yeah, whenever we go. But yeah, I'd rather this. The problem is like, okay, as I'm doing something, I need to find somewhere to put the camera or anything like that, and I don't want to just say, hey, all right, let me drop this here and go do what I'm doing, because as you can see, if I do this to use both hands or use that hand, it starts swinging around. So again, it's definitely what I prefer, but I find again the rope strap more practical, I think. Again, for my purposes.
So I have one more. It's neither a neck strap or a wrist strap. When I've gone like on trips to like the mountains, hiking and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
The best setup I've ever had, again, peak design, is the capture clip. It's this little thing that like attaches to like your backpack or your sling or whatever, and the camera just clips into it and hangs. Like it goes into, well, it really won't work on this, but it goes into the quarter 20 or whatever, and then you just clip it on and it hangs down. So the camera's always there. It has one button. You could reach in, push the button, and pull out the camera, ready to use. It takes all the strain off your neck, so you're not carrying a camera on your neck. It's just part of your bag.
But dude, let me tell you, the neck strain is real for sure.
It
100%.
It 100. But so I took it on the trip to Zion. I had it on the XH1, and again, Peak Design makes this super ugly, super utilitarian. I think it's called the Clutch, which is a strap that works better on DSLR style bodies. That
it's
connects
really
to the quarter
thick,
20.
right?
Yeah, it's the one that you stick your hand
and it goes
like
up
padding
and
on it, right?
Oh,
to the
yeah.
You reach in. So I had that strap with the capture clip. So you reach in, the camera's now secured. You don't have to fiddle with a wrist strap or anything trying to get in it's always there. You don't even have to look, hit the button, and your camera's ready to go. And you know it's not gonna fall out of your hand. And that was the best setup I ever had in my life. Like,
sometimes you just need utilitarian, man. Like, not everything.
And I was like,
you know,
when I get home, I'm gonna buy another one. I want to have these on every single one of my bags. And when we hiked in Arrows, you rent a backpack like that's waterproof. So I rented that backpack. I put my capture clip on it. And when I got home, I realized I left my capture clip on that. So I ended up ordering another capture clip, but I still only have one now because I lost my first one, and I'm still very sad about it. And I hope whoever found it really appreciated it.
So when I shoot daily, like when I shoot interiors or I shoot family or things that I don't need the hold fast for, I still keep 2 bodies on me, which is the SL2 and the Q, but I have a shorter strap, which is the one from Dead Cameras with the peak design clips for my Q. So my Q hangs nice and high on my chest, and my SL2 I use the rock and roll straps, and it hangs nice and low on my hip. So I have like I can bring up I shoot more with my SL2 when I'm shooting family portraits than with my Q2. And then if I want to just drop that and grab my Q2 really quick, I can do that. It's super easy, it's convenient, but I can't do that for a 10 to 12 hour wedding because I will kill myself after because of the neck pain.
But also, like what you said, that you like the Q on the wrist strap because you can pull it out every time. Ergonomically, the shorter straps are better. They're not bouncing around. It's more convenient. It stays on you. But every single time I use a short strap, I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. Oh, I want to take a picture of something ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, I guess I'm not, I don't think about it that way only because I just prefer to look in the viewfinder. I'm a viewfinder kind of guy. Like actually this whole mask wearing, which is a whole other topic for another day, but that's kind of just ruined my life a little bit because I can't really shoot through the viewfinder with a mask on. I have to shoot like ever so slightly off my eye because then it will fog up.
Right.
It's just made my life really complicated. I've had to almost, in a way, change my shooting style because of it, and I hate it so much. And I can't wait till I don't have to wear a mask ever again.
If only Leica put real eye cups on their cameras, you might not have this problem.
Yeah, I mean the SL2 has a pretty legit eye cup, bro.
It does, and it still happens.
Yeah, look,
It happens on the XT3 too.
that's eye cup as fuck.
That eye cup looks like the lens hood of my 50.
That's an eye cup.
That is the eye cup version of this lens hood.
Yes, exactly.
Huge. Oh god.
All
right.
Next
topic. Film versus digital.
We'll make this quick.
Yeah. All right.
Easy.
We'll let Christian go first.
Digital. That's all.
What is
I
it? Fuck film. Digital for sure. I think film, at least for me personally, is more of a novelty. It's nice to shoot something different and have a different process and a process to like develop it. So I actually was scanning some film that I developed over the weekend, but the rolls were shot from like, I just realized last summer. Like when it was actually hot and stuff, because we had like, there's pictures of like the kids in like the pool and some stuff like that. So, but for sure, digital, I think it's just, for me, it's just the ultimate flexibility. And I kind of don't care too much about like the appeal of film. Like, not that I don't like it or don't enjoy shooting it, but it's just not that. If I had to choose, right, if I had to pick just one, for sure digital. I just don't see the point in shooting film. It's not as sustainable. It's very wasteful. Like, like I go develop a roll and it's like I have tons of water being wasted and things like that and chemicals. I'm like, this is actually not that good. I mean, I guess I could pay somebody to do it and they have, proper ways to dispose of it. But I don't know. I feel like digital just, the convenience just outweighs a lot of the other things. And I know people feel differently, but yeah, digital all day.
I have to, I know I said that's all I had to say.
Except for black and white.
I can't not say that I totally respect film and I respect people that shoot film. And a lot of my favorite work was shot on film. But I myself, for what I do as a professional photographer, don't care to shoot film. Even personally, like I just prefer a crisper image. I just don't like film. So like I don't like for myself.
I do like film, probably not for the same reasons that most people like film. Everybody's like, oh, the film aesthetic, the colors, this. I've said it before on previous episodes. I edit almost everything. The scan matters. Like the film aesthetic it exists, but everybody's Portra 400 scan, if you do it at 4 different labs, it's gonna look 4 different ways. If you get the temperature off from somebody else, like it's gonna look different. So it's not magic, and you should always edit it at the end anyway to make it look right. I like film for different reasons. One of my coolest little film experiences was whenever I load a roll of film, like 36 photos on film takes me months to shoot. So I was in the Keys shooting on a roll of, I don't know what it was, but like half that roll was in the Keys taking photos. And then I took that same camera back with me to the Keys right after Irma. Like the first roll was 2 weeks before Irma. The second roll was right after Irma, where the keys got
The
ravaged.
second half of the roll.
The second half of the roll, yeah. So I have that same roll is the keys looking pristine and beautiful, like, and in the same exact places looking completely destroyed after the hurricane.
That's pretty
And
cool.
I didn't plan that. It just happened to be the same camera I brought. And when I looked at the photos, I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. Something that with digital, I never would have had that juxtaposition on one sitting. The other one is you get your negatives. With digital, I'll go out to Little Havana, I'll take 500, 1,000 photos in a day. I'll get like 10 keepers, maybe 20 keepers. Cool. I'll never look at those other photos. On film, I'll get 36 photos. I'll develop the roll. I'll know every single photo on that roll, or archive it, put it in like in my notebook, right where I was, where I was when I took this photo, what camera I used, what lens, all the details, and I'll always be able to go back. And it's kind of like a little memory castle thing where looking at that sheet of negatives brings back a memory to that day, and I remember everything that was going on that day. That doesn't really happen with digital. But at the end of the day, like, this doesn't have anything to do with the way the photo looks. It's just the experience of shooting it. And when I had more time in my life, it was nice that you go out to shoot, shooting's over, you come home, your photography day isn't over. Now you get to develop, scan, like look at the photos, edit them. Like, it's an entire day process for one roll of film, where otherwise you would just be out shooting for like 2 hours and that's it. Now you're, I don't know, go watch TV.
Yeah.
So that's why I like film, but in reality, digital is where it's at. Like,
just one thing to add on the full day of photo. That's actually something that I've been able to kind of take advantage of here. Is like, since we haven't really been going out, like, you know, I may shoot photos of like stuff around the house or whatever it is, right? When I shoot on film. And because I haven't had much time recently, it's like I told you the roll I just developed last week was from summer, so maybe June, because I think it was actually when my son's birthday or something. It was like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and it's just sat in my laundry room, my dark room, for like the past 6 months, and it's like I kind of remember taking these pictures. I mean, I remember them as I'm looking through them, but it's like the delayed gratification part of it and having that kind of control over the process, I think adds some, fun to it, right? From a photography perspective, from like the craft, right? I mean, it's nice. It's always nice, I think, to like develop your own stuff or see it after you've shot. I mean, it doesn't have to be right away. But I think that part's nice. But again, if it's just a matter of, let's say, final output, whatever, for sure, definitely digital. Because I think the film thing, it's like I said, it's novel, right? I mean, it's different. Sometimes I shoot film just because, I'm tired of the digital look. I'm tired of this. Let me go shoot a roll of something and, see something different for a bit. So not that it's crap. So, for all the film fanboys, we're not hating on film and saying it's trash and, go get a life. But
I started watching a YouTube video today of some film photographer, and like every picture he posted, I was like, that's amazing. So, and he took them all on medium and large format, and like, it was like negative feedback.
Yeah, medium and large format always has like, it hits different. I must say the images I've seen from that, like whenever I see them, like, yeah, something's different here. Something's definitely different.
Yeah, for sure. So, and it's amazing and it's beautiful, but I don't have time for that.
Me neither.
Before we move on from this topic, just a quick shout out. If you live in Miami, Palm Film Lab, they're developing, scanning, doing everything. They're located on 57th and is it just
between
is it off Bird or Coral Way? Coral Way. 57th and Coral, like just north of Coral Way on 57th.
It's by 7 Seas, right?
Yeah, right by 7 Seas. Super cool guy, like super cool little shop, super cool guys. It's the owner of Ocho Placas Tattoos and White Rose, which unfortunately closed recently, the coffee shop. Like, check them out if you have film that you need to develop. All right, next.
Ocho Placas is also big rec. Got him some work with them.
And they're just really big film and photography in general buffs with a bunch of cool books there, use cameras, whatnot. So check them out.
Cool. All right, next one. I'm skipping ahead a bit because this one should be quick because it's just another aesthetic related thing. Black cameras versus silver cameras.
Whichever one I didn't buy.
Ain't that the truth?
That is hilarious.
I go with black, man, for sure. Black.
Yeah. I think it depends on the camera, and I think you're right. It's whichever, to some extent, it's whichever one I didn't buy.
Bro,
So the
get out of
first,
here, dude. If you had a black M3 and a silver M3, you would take the black M3, 100%.
Yeah, but you're more than likely you have the silver M3, and you're gonna want the black M3.
yeah.
I'm just saying,
So
forget price or anything like that. Aesthetically, the black M3 is just like
it depends on the camera too. So I've only owned 2 silver cameras in my lifetime. Well, besides like old point and shoots, like cameras that I've had recently. One was a Canon AE1P, and I also had a Canon A1 in black, so they're almost the same camera. And I actually prefer the silver. And I got an X100V in silver, which I had an X100F in black before. And I really liked the silver version a lot, but I did question a couple of times, like, man, the stealth look of the X100V in black, especially where they kind of changed the I guess the materials or the paint finish, whatever. It looks different than the old ones. The older ones are kind of, it's like, what it's like? It's like the M240 with black paint versus like the M10, which has that like a magnesium, whatever you want to call it, right? A more matte finish. That's actually like the difference between the two. As far as the X100 is concerned, even between the silvers. But I really enjoyed the silver one. And I was thinking, I was like, man, if I ever get another one of those, I think I'm going to go with silver. But on the M10, I hated silver M10s mainly because of the red dot against the silver. It's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing. It just looks toyish to me.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a toy.
The M10P that doesn't have the red dot, I actually really liked how it looked because it was just a silver block.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
I see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if I were to, again, pick one, it would be silver. I think silver also has this look where when you pair it with like a brown leather strap, it has this really vintage kind of cool look to it, from an aesthetic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it comes out to the camera. Yeah.
I had a silver M3 that people would absolutely like. I couldn't go anywhere with someone asking me about that camera. And I think that the silver M3 really is a beautiful camera, but I would prefer the black version. I have the bronze mini lux, and I've like thought so many times to just sell it and like spend the extra money and get the black one.
Like for me, I have the silver M4. I would prefer a black M4. I have the black M6. I kind of want a titanium M6.
Yeah.
I wanted.
Sell me the black one.
Nah, man, the guy who sold it to me wouldn't appreciate that. But I wanted the silver X100T, but I got the black one. And after a little while, I actually prefer the black one on that one. I wanted a silver M digital. I ended up with a black one. Preferred that. Like Mark said, I would prefer a silver MP, but I would never pay for a P. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually the opposite of whatever camera I have.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
With me, for sure, that's about right. I'm always like wanting things that I don't have, or the opposite of whatever I have. So, but I'm good with the black M10 and black M6 and black XT3, black everything.
Can you imagine if they made like another color SL? That'd be so weird.
Oh, like a special edition?
Yeah.
Leica would never release special editions.
No, but like imagine like an army green SL. Like that'd be, I don't know that would be like a pretty camera.
Based on everything Leica released like today, it'll probably be a gold SL, but yeah. Moving on.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's the next one?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So let me see which one should be. I'll pick this one because I think we'll be able to talk about this one a bit. So, and we kind of have touched on this before. Travel photography, meaning like going somewhere and photographing somewhere else, like just whatever genre, just on the trip, if you will, versus street photography, like in or around home. What do you prefer?
Travel. Yep. Travel because it's street for me. I shoot my travel like street, and I get to shoot architecture and interiors as well, which I absolutely love. Whereas I've only gone to street shoot, I think less than a handful of times here in Miami. I mean, I just think that Miami is, I don't know. I know this is the typical discussion, but it's just not as interesting to me to photograph. And there's people that would do it way better. Well, I don't know if you're there in the video, but
In mine, I'm up here, but yeah. Who knows what the end of the thing will be?
I meant to point at Yanni. That's what I was saying. But yeah, man, I think that travel photography for me is really something that can inspire people, and like it inspires me, and like shooting at home is just not, it doesn't have the same effect, you know, it doesn't have the same feeling. I don't give it as much interest. I don't give it as much time. Like I have the time to drive my ass out to freaking Miami Beach at least once a week or once a month, and you know, and street shoot for a couple hours. But dude, I do it so often. I remember I'm like shooting all day every day in Miami in a certain kind of way that when I think about shooting it as like street or even travel, if you will, like shooting Miami but as a travel photographer, it doesn't interest me. It's too saturated, I guess, for myself.
I don't think anybody could realistically say they prefer taking street photos near home compared to travel photography, because travel photography could be street photography in a place you don't normally shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I prefer taking photos when I'm on trips because I went to this place because I found it interesting and I want to document it. That's obvious. But given all that, if the only thing I wanted to shoot was travel photography, I would not be into this hobby, because it's not worth it to have all this gear and spend all this time learning stuff to shoot 2 or 3 times a year versus every weekend when I could just go out and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's a good point.
I prefer travel photography, but the reason I do what I do is because of street photography near home. Or if it wasn't street, it could be landscapes or architecture or whatnot, but it has to be near home because I want to do this constantly. I don't want to do it just 3 times a year.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's definitely travel. And it's more because of how I got into photography. Seriously, and we've talked about this like in the first or second episode. Like, you know, for me, it was all right. I was going places and it was interesting, and somebody said, "Hey, why are you taking your iPhone 3GS?" So like, it was always kind of pre-programmed based on that the reason why you take photos is because you're going somewhere interesting. And it was only until later on, like when I again invested in this equipment and came back home from some trips, and I'm like, well, you know what, this is useful for taking photos of cars and all this other stuff. And then eventually, you know, I got into just documenting everyday stuff, like just random light around the house. And this is dating back years ago now. But I still think like I am the most motivated, the most inspired, the most, you know, keen on seeing things when you're traveling, like anywhere else, right? Anywhere novel. But, you know, it's also just something I like doing independent of photography. So for me, it's like maximum enjoyment, right? It's like I'm going somewhere, that I've never been. Yeah, right. It doesn't even matter if it's street or like I end up getting shots that could be qualified as street photography most times. But to be honest with you, most times I'm just being a tourist, and I'm actually okay with that, and I enjoy that because I like documenting that I've been to these places, and you know, making. I heard something actually really interesting, which it was on Fill the Frame. Remember the documentary I told you guys that I was watching? So it doesn't. It's I'm taking it a little bit out of context, but I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, it's, you know, you go to these places that are tourist attractions. Like everybody has the same. You can go find the same picture on Google, right? But like I didn't take it, so it still means something for me to make my own photo of that. And that was something that the person was saying in the documentary. They're talking about obviously street and saying that, you know, oh, this type of photo is done a million times, like the silhouette photo, right? Whatever, in hard light. And it's like, I forgot who said it. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was a girl in the documentary was saying it, or she was quoting somebody else that has said it, like, I don't know, maybe Saul Light or something. They mentioned him and a couple other people. And again, the idea was everybody else is taking that picture, but I forgot the phrase, but like, this one is mine type of thing, right? And I actually do enjoy that a bit, where it's like I go somewhere and like I see something and I have my picture of it that, you know, is in my photo library that I can print myself, or I can take a particular perspective on it, right? Like maybe shoot it from a different angle or something, not just, hey, let me replicate exactly what I saw on Google.
Like the
right?
one you
It's
got
like,
in that place, that the white things through the shadows. Was that in Hong Kong? The photo that everybody else takes that you messed up.
Yes, that one that I completely
Don't worry, you
botched
can
and
just use
didn't-
somebody else's.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm constantly reminded on Instagram and everything. But like Machu Picchu, like everybody has the same damn picture, but it's to me still one of my favorite pictures because it just reminds me and it takes me back there. Like, you know, going up that mountain, seeing like that view once you kind of get up to the top there. So for me, it still is worth the traveling aspect, regardless of if I'm even doing, you know, tourist travel stuff that's been done before.
Right.
You know, it's part of the enjoyment of it, right? Just
So-
snapping the shutter and getting the photos.
Is shooting a Little Havana for you travel photography, or is that local?
No, it's local enough.
All right.
Local enough. If I can drive there multiple times a day, realistically, then it's not travel.
How many times you had to stop for gas?
What are you talking about? I used to drive to Cutler Ridge every day. Shut up.
Colory.
Yeah, years ago. But
All right.
yes. So I think we beat that one. All right. Next topic. JPEG versus RAW. It's probably gonna be easy, but JPEG versus RAW. Who wants to go first?
If I'm traveling or shooting a Little Havana or whatnot, RAW. If I'm taking photos around my family and stuff, JPEG.
Always raw.
Yeah, I figured you'd just be like, always RAW.
The only time I'll shoot JPEG is if I have my Q2 set to monochrome and then it creates a JPEG from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, always raw.
The reason I started shooting a lot more JPEG is because of the Q2, because I do a lot of Wi-Fi transfers, and 20 megabytes is a lot faster than like 100 megabytes.
Yeah.
Bro,
So
you're telling me.
yeah. So
Yeah.
JPEG.
I shoot JPEG and RAW. So shooting wise, I shoot JPEG and RAW always, just because storage is relatively cheap nowadays, and you know it's always good to have a JPEG. Maybe like if you get lazy, like you know sometimes family stuff, right? Like I don't know, kid's birthday party, something like that. I'll shoot that on both JPEG and RAW because more than likely my wife's gonna ask for the pictures, or you know I need to share it, and I don't feel like sitting down there to edit, you know, whatever amount of pictures I may have shot. Just for sharing purposes. But I may find when I'm like, oh my God, I really like this, and I'll go grab the RAW or whatever. But so generally speaking, I prefer RAW if I'm going to go through and edit it. If it's just for sharing, or if I'm shooting on the Fuji camera and I'm like willingly picking out like one of these film simulations, like shooting acros, like for sure I'll grab the JPEG. It's kind of a double-edged sword because what I find myself doing is like, especially with the Fuji stuff, is I'll end up with the JPEG and a RAW, and I'm like, okay, the JPEG's good, but I know I can get more out of this RAW. and my film simulations or my presets that I have them lined up to a lot of the like my favorite Fuji JPEG film simulations, so they're like super close. Like maybe the highlights are a little different, whatever. And I sit there and I look at it and I'm like, damn, which one should I keep? Because I'm like, the JPEG, it's pointless to keep the JPEG if I have a RAW that's good enough. And if I delete the JPEG, you know, am I going to remember that, oh my God, this JPEG was, you know, perfect baked, or would I care more about having the RAW file that I can do more with later on? And then sometimes I just sit and I'm like, I'll figure it out later.
I have a solution for you.
What? Shoot RAW?
RAW.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what I started doing is, especially with the XT3, because it has the dual card slots, is I'll still shoot JPEG because for the purpose of if I, you know, need to just share it. But what I usually import onto the computer, if I'm going to like take it into Lightroom, is just a RAW file. Because on the Fujis, especially, you can't transfer a RAW file from the Wi-Fi app. You have to have a JPEG version.
Okay.
So like, you know, traveling, if you want to quickly post something on Instagram, or you're out, or again, you want to quickly share something, you need to create a JPEG. And you know, maybe you want to send 5 photos. I'm not going to go into each one and then do a conversion in the camera and then go transfer it. So I'll shoot RAW and JPEG anyway and have access to it there. But then when I import onto the PC, there's actually a setting I found out some time ago that I think I told you about it, Yanni. You can match up Lightroom's equivalent profile. So like, you know, if I shoot acros in the camera, even on the RAW file, it will know that I shot acros and apply the Lightroom profile for it. It's not exact, but at least I'll know, okay, I shot this in Acros on the camera. So then I can then take the preset I made that matches the Acros preset I have on the camera, because I tweaked the shadows and highlights a couple things, and then I'll have a close thing with the raw file, and I have to worry about two things. So that's what I've been doing more recently when I shoot the Fuji stuff. So
I get it. I get what you're saying, but I just, it's raw, and then I mean, me shooting everything raw just makes everything way more difficult in the sense of like my file sizes are so large that, remember, I'm dealing with thousands of files every day. It's not like you guys that you shoot like a few pictures and then, you know, you're good. Like I have to shoot so much sometimes, like especially on a wedding day, and it takes forever to upload onto the computer, forever to transfer if I have to back it up, or when I back it up, I should say. Forever. The Lightroom sessions take forever to import, forever to export. The JPEGs that I get are enormous, so I don't even think one of my JPEGs fits in an email. Like I always have to send like a Google Photos link or something, because just one photo in an email is like too big. And then the other thing is running Lightroom is horrific. It's horrific. I have to build smart previews and one-to-one previews to make it even workable, because if not, it's too inefficient essentially.
yeah.
But I know this because I work with I have other photographers that work for me that shoot other cameras other than Leica. Dude, a Leica RAW is like it's freaking priceless. It's priceless.
Yeah, I
can't get the highlights out of if one of my photographers that's shooting Canon blows highlights, that's it. That photo's gone. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can do to that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know on the SL2, but on the M10 and the 240 highlights, yeah. I mean,
yeah, no, the M10 isn't great with highlights for sure, but the SL2 and the Q2 are.
Okay. Yeah. M10's like terrible with that, but yeah.
Sure. But I underexpose everything by stop anyway. So let's do the last one. No, we have two more. Instagrammers versus YouTubers.
Yeah, I threw that one on there because I found that one interesting over topic.
What does
because
actually
I was thinking
mean?
about back and forth.
Like,
so yeah, and that's why I figured that's why I started laughing at it, because in my head it was like this weird idea. So if you think about photography, and maybe this is just my perspective, I feel like photography and social media in like, let's say the last 5 to 10 years, especially with the Instagram prevalence, right? It was like Instagram was a thing where like that's where you found people, but then like everybody seems to have like an accompanying YouTube channel now, so it's like both, right? But I feel like some people are a little bit more active on YouTube than they are on Instagram, or at least more like prominent, if you will. So like
100%.
Sean Tucker, for instance, I feel like he's more of a YouTube guy than he is a Instagram photography. Actually, funny enough, I use him as an example. He just posted something about taking a break from Instagram, but he's still going to post like weekly on YouTube. So in my head, I see him as more of a YouTuber that happens to have an Instagram. On the flip side of that, you have people that are like, I don't know.
6 feet under.
Yeah, right. That I don't know. I mean, I think he has one YouTube video that he posted a while ago, right? That was a good example where like they are primarily Instagram, and we're talking obviously beyond their like maybe public website or portfolio or anything else like that, right? I'm obviously comparing between the two. And again, what I started noticing was that, and this will probably give you my answer, so which one I prefer, is that YouTube is starting to become a lot monotonous. It's like the same fucking thing on everybody's channel, just their small take on it. But it's like there's certain things that it's like they just have to be part of the video. Like there's always like a gear talk, like what's in your bag. Like if you go search YouTube, and maybe these are recommendations I'm getting, it's like you can find a million videos of what's in my camera bag for 2020.
Yeah, for sure.
How to up your street photography game for 2020. It's like the same stupid shit. Like, I mean, I guess people are finding it interesting. If not, it wouldn't actually get recommended or be there. But I feel like it's just a flood of the same thing, So I don't know. I prefer, at least from a photography perspective, YouTubers. I'm sorry, Instagrammers. So,
Okay, Yanni, what about you?
They have different purposes. For me on Instagram, I don't really follow any like national photographers or like international. Everybody I follow is probably from Miami or like
Okay.
local people. Like it's a more of a hyper local sort of thing for me. YouTube, I don't know anybody with a YouTube channel, but I guess us. So everything I follow on Instagram on YouTube is like the Sean Tuckers, Matt Days, like those like internet famous photographers. So I don't. It's two completely different purposes. Like the people I see on Instagram are people I might like be DMing with back and forth and just talking about different things. They're shooting the same sort of things I'm shooting, and then I'm going on YouTube just to see other things like what's going on in the Midwest. Like what are you shooting in the Midwest? What are you shooting in California? Who's going to like a national park or something? Like it's two different worlds with almost
that's
no
an
overlap
interesting
for me.
perspective. Nice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying that's an actually interesting perspective on it. Kind of seeing them so differently, because I start out by saying like to me they're like, what's the word I was thinking? Like, you know, you kind of have both, right? You know, you have your YouTube presence and you have your Instagram presence for a lot of people. And like I got into people's YouTubes by following them on Instagram first, rather than YouTube first and then find them on Instagram.
Funny enough, for
most
me,
times.
it's the opposite. I discover a lot of people on YouTube, and then I follow their Instagram because of their YouTube.
Like just to make a quick point, like I've never even considered like I subscribe to Sean Tucker's YouTube. I've never even looked at his Instagram. I almost, unless somebody like links me to something, I've never considered looking at a YouTuber's Instagram page. I have no idea what's his name? Joe Greer's Instagram page looks like. I have no idea what. I know I follow Matt Day. I think
You
that's the
should
only guy I
definitely
follow.
look at Joe Greer's. You should
I've
100% look at Joe Greer's
never
Instagram.
looked at it.
Like
Never
right
even
now.
thought of until right
like
now.
right after we finish.
Until this very moment, I never even considered that Joe Greer had an Instagram page. It's one of those,
I think
it's like
Joe Greer is
two
more of an
whole different
Instagrammer than
worlds.
a YouTuber.
It's two whole different worlds for me.
Yeah.
With no overlap.
I feel like Leica has done more videos on Joe Greer than Joe Greer has on his own page on YouTube. But yeah, you should definitely look at his Instagram. It's pretty amazing. Funny enough, because he was one of the ones I was going to use an example of. I love Joe Greer. I'm a big fan of his. And I love his Instagram a lot. I did find out about Joe Greer through his Instagram. And then I found out about his YouTube through his Instagram. And he almost never posts anything, but every time he does, I like love his content.
Yeah.
I think I love that he films it with his phone. Like it's really not like a big production situation. I like that a lot. But then on the flip side, I have people like negative feedback. Like I watch every negative feedback. I don't care what it's about. Like I could listen to that guy talk about anything forever. He has the most calming voice ever. And all of his photography is awesome. And all of his YouTube videos are very insightful. Even if I'm not super interested in the exact subject, he says stuff that I'm like, that makes sense. Like I didn't think about it that way. So I like him a lot. Who's another YouTuber that I'm just like, I love? Let me see here. Hold on.
While you're looking for that, so that's actually why I still look at stuff on YouTube, because I'm hoping to find stuff that isn't the same monotonous like.
Dude, negative feedback
formula.
is really good about that. He does not do anything trendy. And on top of everything, he doesn't even sit at a computer anymore and film his YouTube videos.
Hilarious.
He literally sits like on a branch in the middle of a mountain, like, and then he'll just be like, hey guys, today I'm going to talk. Like he's like in the most random place.
Wait, he's not exaggerating. There's a video
that.
I saw and it was hilarious. That he's like, the camera's like 50 yards that way. And he's like this little speck on the thing and he's talking because obviously he has a recorder on him. So you hear the voice clear and you can he's close enough that you can see movement or whatever. But like, he's just like a speck on the screen and he's like just sitting on like the edge of like a cliff and he's like, just talking, it's so funny. Volandis is also good. I like his YouTube.
I like his YouTube. I feel like he got a little bit monotonous with some stuff. And
he started getting a little
like talking about stuff that I didn't care as much about.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean film?
But I did find out about him. Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I found out about him on YouTube first, actually, now I think about it.
Yep. I was on.
Yeah, it was YouTube first.
I think one of the
Bench
reasons
Heish. I prefer Bench Heish on YouTube than I do on Instagram because
Never
what he
seen
posts on
Instagram.
Instagram is mostly wedding photography, and I don't really care about other people's wedding photography. That's a weird thing to say, but like I kind of don't. Like I think there's less than a handful of wedding photographers, and I'm like, oh my god, like their work is so incredible that I follow it and I like it. Less than a handful by a lot, like maybe one or two.
I think one of the reasons for the dichotomy is that I don't actually. A lot of times I don't watch YouTube videos. I just kind of listen to them. So people are posting up their photos on their Instagram, on their YouTube videos. I'm not actually looking at them. I don't really care how good your photo is. I just kind of want to hear what you have to say. So that's why I'm like, oh wow, like this person's photography is so good. Let me go find their Instagram page. No, I have no idea what it even looks like. I just like what they say.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta try that.
I like what's his name? Samuel Streetlife on YouTube a lot. And Alex Soth just started a YouTube channel. I don't know if he just started it, but he just started doing these new videos on his YouTube, and they're basically him just dissecting different photo books that he likes, and it's Alex Soth. So totally, you should definitely listen to that if you're into photography. Alex Soth is just freaking genius, and he is also got a very calming voice. You can kind of listen to him talk for a long time, and he has a lot of interesting things to say, and his perspective is great. And then the last one I wanted to mention was, well, I guess Matt Day. I like Matt Day. I think seems like a really nice guy. I don't really care for his work. But
damn, you just friend
but I
zoned
found out
Matt
about
Day.
him on YouTube before. I just friend zoned Matt Day. Yeah, I kind of just did friend zone Matt Day.
Yeah, you're like a really nice guy, but we should just be photography friends.
I like him, but like I don't know. I can't. His work is so personal to him that it's like it doesn't really make me care about it. You know?
Yeah, I like that. There's actually one YouTuber I just found recently. I don't know if you sent it, Christian, or like we both came across it, but it's
the girl.
Yeah,
She's great.
Yeah,
I like her
because I like a lot of the philosophical videos where it's not. That's why I keep saying it's like if it's like gear stuff or whatever, like it gets a little monotonous because the same people are doing the same thing, whatever, or these techniques sometimes. But just kind of like dissecting, hey, here's what's good about this photographer, and who's also good? Art of photography. What's that guy's name again?
Yeah.
Because he does it's a mix of things, right? Yeah, he has his gear stuff that throws in there sometimes. Obviously, these people are making money from this stuff. You can't, take away from that. But sometimes he sits there and he gets kind of philosophical and like thinks through things and, gives you ideas to think about. And I like those channels more because those are the ones you can just listen to, right? You don't need to actually watch. You just listen, and that can be in the background. So
yeah, I kind of got over the FPV, like walking around the street and doing street photography. I feel like that got played out because
that's a perfect example. Yeah.
I think I saw every FPV street photography video that there is on the internet in 2019. And then by 2020, I was like over it.
Yeah. That's the same thing. Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well,
so last one.
I really like this episode, man. This is a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can fit one more in, I think. Right.
All right. Yeah. We have time.
Yeah. I think we have one more. Because the other one is kind of related. We touched on it. It was about carrying a bag versus not, which wrist strap kind of covers that. All right, last one. So do you prefer wider focal lengths, meaning like 35 millimeter and wider, or a normal or telephoto like 50 and longer? And why? Which one? Primes, obviously.
It's easier to shoot from the hip. It's easier to zone focus.
Yeah.
And I have like 35,000 megapixels I could just crop in on anyway. So yeah.
35,000 megapixels.
Yeah.
Like a Q2, 35,000 megapixels. I see in 50, man. I love shooting 28. I love shooting 35. Funny enough, I think my most enjoyable form of photography for me is street photography, which I shoot wider, but realistically, I see in 50. I've been shooting 50 since I started as a photographer, like most photographers. But I think a lot of photographers that went into like portrait and weddings switched over to 35 after. And I've really stayed true to 50 millimeters, man. Like I can shoot an entire wedding in 50, and like, you know, maybe not an entire wedding because I need the wider for the reception, but like during the day stuff, I can shoot all of that. I can shoot any portrait, all of my interiors stuff that I do. I don't really shoot like everyone else does, so I shoot it in 50, um, which people think I'm weird for, but whatever. Uh, yeah, I really like the 50 millimeter focal length. It's just like it's not too far in, but it's not too wide. There's not really distortion in terms of like people, and I yeah, 50.
Mark?
Well, all right. So I'm in between 35 and 50. I think right now I started on 52 and that was kind of my thing.
So the
And
40. 40.
so that's actually funny you mentioned that.
Started
That's
on
actually
40,
where
didn't you?
No,
On the
50.
Micro Four Thirds.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. Actually, that's why I think I'm in between because 40 millimeter. So I shot a 20 millimeter f1.7 on a Micro Four Thirds, which is a 40 millimeter equivalent. And I always found it, yeah, it was a little tight, but it was like wide enough to kind of shoot it like a 35.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could kind of just take it out and just shoot, and it didn't feel too tight. But you know, yes, if you're indoors, you felt the crampness of it, but you could also just say, okay, well, you're going to embrace it and shoot details or step in closer or whatever it is. So I really like that. When I was the last big trip I took, where I actually had multiple lenses and was flipping through, I was doing 28 and 50, and I found like, yes, certain things I wish I was able to shoot wider and certain things I'd shoot tighter. And that's why I think 35, I kind of decided to give it a try, but 50s are always what I like just because the aesthetic. I mean, the flattening of the image, obviously being able to kind of get very shallow depth of field, right? With a 50 and like a f1.4 lens or for f2 lens or whatever, you have that kind of creative tool with a 50, with, fast enough aperture. But nowadays, practicality wise, especially shooting rangefinders, I feel like 35 is my sweet spot because it's not too wide to where like I feel like I have to be super close to somebody, but also not too tight that I can't get like multiple people in the frame or a scene in a frame, especially like, now with the kids outdoors. Like if you look at the last couple of things I posted, it's like, the kids are kind of scattered around and stuff like that. And I've actually been really getting into layering and trying to see and compose photos that way, or at least, look for photos that where things are happening in a frame and like try to arrange them or try to arrange myself around it. Like, I've been practicing with the kids like crazy. So that I think lends itself to, you could say 28, you could say 35, but I think 35 is where I'm at now. But like I said, I'm still like at heart, like a 50 shooter. So I still have both. So I have the 35 Summicron here and the 50 Voigtlander here. And that's literally the two lenses I have for the Leicas. And I keep telling myself, you know what, just stick to the 35, you can do it, whatever. But then every now and then I throw on the 50 and I'm like,
this is nice.
This lens is so awesome.
Yeah,
right. The lens itself renders in an awesome way. It is that focal length that I do like, and it's nice to kind of have it sometimes. And again, with the rangefinder, since you can't focus close, sometimes the 50 helps give you like a tighter shot without having to be that close. And I really feel that because this is the case with the X100, if that wasn't the case, I'd probably just stick to the 35 on a Leica, because on 35 on the X100, you can get close and you can get really tight because it focuses, all the way down to whatever, right? But it's tough to do it with the Leica, the rangefinder with, 0.7 meters or the 35, you can't really get that close. So that's kind of where I feel like, I'm in between, if you will, but 35 is probably my pick.
I also like 90. I don't shoot it often, but I do like I feel like when I put my 90 on my M10, I feel like a sniper. I feel like I can be across a room and shoot discreetly, and it's a really nice compression that it has. It's like this really beautiful like rendering. And it's like it just feels different, which is also kind of like novelty. So yeah, man. But yeah, I guess telephoto is my answer if you consider a 50 to be telephoto.
Yeah, normally wider, normally longer. So
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps our this or that episode of CMY. I think this was a fun conversation. We can probably pick some other topics and do this again in a couple weeks or months or something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks for listening. And this is CMY. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Later, y'all.
Later.